Are there similarities between Black Lives Matter and radical Islam? Welcome to the 1 Minute Apologist, where we provide credible answers to curious questions. And here to provide a credible answer is the D-Wood man. What's up, bro?
How's it going?
How would you answer that?
Well, the first thing we would have to do is clarify Black Lives Matter, because there's a lot of different things here, and that's actually one of the interesting similarities between that and Islam. So you have Black Lives Matter, the claim or the statement or the slogan, the claim that Black Lives Matter. Not too many people would disagree with that. If you have a problem with that statement, you've got some serious issues, right? So there's that, and then there are the peaceful Black Lives Matter protests, which people would gather together to protest some instance of racial injustice, and they would have a peaceful protest and so on. And so, the people they're out there protesting something they believe is wrong. So I have no problem with peaceful protests. But then you have a radical organization that is Black Lives Matter. It's a Marxist organization. They have all sorts of ideas and plans for society, including, destroying the nuclear family, getting rid of police, these kinds of things that the incredibly vast majority of people would say, no. And so notice you have Black Lives Matter, the claim, of course I would agree with that. And then you have something, a political organization, and then, whoa, we got a problem here. So as far as the similarities go, both Islam and Black Lives Matter rely on a sort of confusion about what's being criticized. They use that to further their agenda. In other words, if I say, hey, do you agree with Black Lives Matter? What are you talking about? But think, hey, do you agree with Islam? Or should you criticize Islam? Well, what in the world are you talking about? Because lots of people have confused ideas. So, you have very peaceful Muslims, and then you have jihadis, and there's a confusion here. Hey, what am I going after here? What am I going after here? And lots of people, hey, I see the terrorists blowing people up in the name of Allah, but I also know my peaceful Muslim neighbor and the Muslim I work with, and I obviously can't just go after the religion in general when there are so many peaceful adherents of it and so on. And so these groups kind of rely on that confusion in order to kind of block criticism. They will also both rely on people's good intentions to use them against them in order to further their own agendas. So Islam doesn't come up to you and say, hey, here's an ideology that calls for the violent subjugation of the entire world, allows sex with prepubescent girls. It doesn't say that, right? It says, hey, Islam just means submission to God. You believe in submission to God, don't you, Bobby? See, you believe in submitting to God. That's Islam. Islam is the religion for you, right? Right. So they'll use your desire to submit to God, which is good, to sell you the rest of what they're selling, right? Similarly with Black Lives Matter. They don't come up to you and say, we want to abolish the family and abolish all police. I mean, sometimes they do. Sometimes they do with the police and so on. But it's, hey, do you believe that there's racial injustice? Yeah. Do you believe that Black Lives Matter? See, you're on board with us, right? And so they'll use people's good intentions in order to avoid showing them the entire package of what they're presenting. So you have those kinds of things. You also have both groups, especially nowadays, will pull the race card instantly for any criticism of their ideology, right? So if you say, hey, I have a problem with the agenda of Black Lives Matter, the organization, the Marxist organization, and their plans for the U.S. education system, I have a problem with that. No, you have a problem with black people. Yeah. Right? So wait a minute, can't we talk about that? No, you've got a problem with black people. Islam is the same now. Hey, I have a problem with Muhammad's call for the violent subjugation of the entire world. I have a problem with him calling Jews and Christians the worst of creatures. No, you have a problem with Arabs. That's your problem. That's your real problem. So they both go that route. A fourth similarity between Islam and Black Lives Matter is that it's meant to be applied to everyone. And what I mean here is you have something like Christianity. Christianity has commands that people are supposed to follow. but it's Christians who are supposed to follow these commands. Right? You can have an ideology which says, here, if you subscribe to this, if you agree to this, if you believe in this ideology or this religion, then here are the rules you have to follow. Then you have other kinds of things which say, no, you follow them if you believe it, and for people who don't, you go out and make them. You force them. You use any means at your disposal, whether it's manipulation, whether it's heaping abuse on them, but you make everyone go along with you on this right. And Islam is like that. Islam doesn't just have rules that Muslims are supposed to follow. Jews have to follow these rules. Christians have to follow these rules. The entire world has to follow these rules ultimately. And it's the same thing with, again, a political organization, Black Lives Matter. Doesn't mean if you're on board with us or not, we're going to find a way of making you do what we want you to do.